Good evening. It's Sunday night, and I was hoping to do this video tomorrow morning very early from campus. But as many of us here on the East Coast are undergoing a busy day of hurricane watching and hurricane prep, I have also been informed that the campus will be closed tomorrow. So I wouldn't be doing this from the campus. So here we are on a Sunday night, and it's generally my practice to try to talk to folks between the weeks anyway. And I had promised you a little bit of insight onto how I felt about the topic of the week's discussion, and I'll do that in just a moment. But I also wanted to reiterate what I put in the discussion board myself earlier this week. This was exactly like I want to see a discussion board go. You guys did a fantastic job, especially for the first week. The participation has been great. The comments have been wonderful. The content is very impressive. People have a lot of different experiences to share, and that's very important. And that's what this is all about. Like, so we're going to do a lot of our learning is just going to come from talking to each other about these things, where we share our experiences, we share what we've learned. This is a capstone course, and we're trying to put everything together here. And strategy is a place where everything comes together. So I think you're all seeing that. People had differing opinions. People don't agree with me, which is great. People don't agree with each other, and it's all been respectful, which has been fabulous. I can only say, please, keep it up. This is the way a discussion board ought to be. This is what I expect. And if we continue along this path, everything's going to be great. What you're going to see now in the unit coming up is a couple of things. First, go right after this. You'll see the printed portion on the assignments and the reading assignments and where the PowerPoints are and what to look out for this week. And then I went ahead and I pulled two videos that I made for the last time I taught the class in Mod 6 back in July and August. And after reviewing them, I decided they are still perfectly valid today, as they were back when I recorded them. So they're real. They're still the information in there hasn't really changed too much. And take a look at those too. So you're going to have to listen to me a lot to start the week off. But hopefully that's not too bad a thing for most of you. Okay. Let me jump in and let me talk to you about where I said I had some pretty strong opinions on vision, values, and mission and how they fit together. Well, I think my overriding opinion is that that's what they do. They fit together. If you take any one of them on their own, you really don't have a lot. You have something very important, but only when the three of them are working together do you have the foundations of a strategy, do you finally have the foundations of a good organization and a good business. And the way I defined it is where, if you look back at what I put in the written lecture on it, for the longest time, I and still probably do, I put vision at the top, with mission to follow, supported, being held up by the values. And very important to me to make sure that people understand what I mean by values. Values are principles. Values are strongly held beliefs. Values cannot be compromised for financial gain. It's not something you push to the wayside if you could make more money by doing something else. If you state that something is a value, then it is, like I just said, a principle, a way of doing business, a way of business life. And you're not going to deviate from that for any reason. That's very important, because one of the things that it does is it takes things off the table. It takes things away. You don't consider doing things that are outside your value set. So you don't waste time and energy and effort and a lot of mental energy, more than anything else, in considering something that's just not within the way you do business. So why would you even think about it? So that's why values are so important. Vision to me is a little bit at the top of the ladder, because vision is what you will be. It's where you're trying to get. It's what everything you do should be aimed at achieving the vision. And it may be something that's very difficult for you to see you're getting there, but as long as it's within your capacity to believe that you could get there, it's a worthwhile goal. It's the biggest goal you can have. That's how I feel about it. And the way I long ago discovered how to talk about what vision is to groups of business people is I talk about children. And I may have explained this to a few people, but and a couple of you folks have mentioned have been taking classes on campus, and I've had the pleasure of working with a couple of you before, so bear with me if you've heard me make this speech prior. But, vision is like when you take a little kid, and that little kid comes to you and says, you know what? I want to be a fireman. And you look at the kid who wants to be a fireman, and what does he play with? Well, he plays with toy fire trucks, and he has a toy fire hat, and he's got pictures of firemen on the wall, and he runs around the house, maybe he runs around the house setting fires so he can run around hosing them down and putting them out. Everything he does revolves around becoming a fireman. And in fact, if you ask that child, what do you want to be? He doesn't tell you he wants to be a fireman. He looks at you straight in the eye and says, I am a fireman. Well, you know what? That's a vision. Everything he does revolves around being a fireman. Now, the problem is with a child, next week that kid wants to be a teacher. And the week after that, he wants to be an airplane pilot. And the week after that, he wants to be a professional football player. As business people, we don't have that luxury of changing our focus and having that short childlike attention span. We're adults, our business is a serious thing, our visions tend to be much more permanent and long-term. But as long as they're within the capacity of the organization to believe that you could become that, that is how vision works. It's the guiding light, if you will, of what your business can become and what you should be striving to be. And you won't do anything that's going to stop you from being that. And a little later on in the course, I'm going to introduce an exercise to you that will bring this back in a slightly different way, but I think you're going to see the power of it. Mission, and many of our military folks have mentioned mission prominently. And the whole idea, mission is something you are to accomplish. That's what you're going to focus on. That's what you're going to get done. And you're going to do it within a specific period of time, and you will do everything within your power to achieve that mission. But that mission has to be supportive of achieving the vision and has to be supported by the values that you have declared are your values in creating your business. That's how important these are in working together. Now, it's interesting. Recently, I was doing some reading with someone who has written a rather authoritative book on strategic planning for not-for-profits. And this individual wasn't so much worried about vision. He said it was equally important, but don't worry. As long as you've knocked down your values and your mission, the vision will come. It will become apparent to you. So there's an even different approach at looking at the whole concept. But really, my message is they do have to work together. Taken alone, they won't work. Another concept I'll introduce later is called being necessary and sufficient. Well, when we look at that, we'll be looking at resources. But in this context, we're looking, are these items alone going to get you where they want to be? Probably not, but taken together, they are the package that will get you there. So I appreciate very much the discussion that everybody had this week. It was, like I said, it was fabulous. It's Sunday night. It's still going on. Almost don't want it to stop, but we've got to move on. This week you're going to be moving into a very, very interesting section on what we call the Five Forces model. And we're going to be concentrating on the work of Professor Michael Porter from the Harvard Business School. And Professor Porter did this first iterations of this work about 30 years ago, late 70s, early 80s. And you're going to see some very interesting stuff here. But it's a very it's very straightforward when you look at it. It's going to provide you a new way, perhaps for some of you, of looking at how you develop strategy, how you develop your thinking in a competitive environment. And it's all structured on moving us forward towards developing competitive advantage. Okay? By by the way, one of the second, I think it's the second of the review videos I pulled up from the summer. That's going to have some more the longer of the two, that's going to have some more operational things about the course in there that really haven't changed since August. So I decided to put that in there, but it's going to talk about the group project, a little bit more about discussion board, how we're doing things, and I'm going to let that stand and go forward. Okay, so again, I hope everybody is safe through this impending storm. It sounds like one of probably some historic proportion in its size and its breadth, when it looks like it could affect up to 60 million people, about a fifth of the population of the country. This is a significant event. And if we were doing a different type of case, we'd probably want to be talking about how do events like this affect strategy, because certainly they affect the operational decisions that a lot of companies are going to be making in the next few days. So I just say that as a kind of means of keeping up the kind of general awareness of what goes on that I think we all need to do as for we're going to be successes in our business operations. Again, thank you very much. It's been an enjoyable first week, and I really look forward to where we're going from here. Okay, thank you.